In the last 8 months, I have booked over 500 sales appointments and generated hundreds of thousands in revenue for my agency and B2B services clients. And in this video, I'm going to be doing a live walkthrough showing you exactly how to build and set up a cold email campaign from scratch that will help you book 30 plus qualified sales appointments every single month. Now let's dive into it. So how to build a cold email campaign from scratch. So first thing that we're going to do here is define our ideal customer profile, or our ICP. We'll build out a front end offer. We'll write some copy, and then we'll set the campaign up inside of SmartLead. Now, I haven't picked a company to be doing the outreach for yet, so we'll dig into Apollo real fast and figure it out. So I want to give you some thoughts on how we actually think through our development of an ideal customer profile. Because when I talk to a lot of people, they usually will ask me questions of like, all right, well, how do you actually decide who and how you'll be reaching out to our clients? So let's just assume we're targeting advertising, or your marketing and advertising business. And so, all right, there's 3.9 million businesses that exist on Apollo, or rather this is going to be people. And so let's see, we can convert this to companies, and we'll want to define our employee size, because have found that that is usually a better indicator of fit compared to things like revenue. So this will indicate with some degree of certainty how big the business is, or at least their propensity to have budget for certain things. So like, for example, 1 to 10, it's not likely that they're going to be buying done for you services of this size unless they're like an e-commerce business and they happen to be having like 2 or 3 people and they have a whole back-end fulfillment team that's not technically included on like their LinkedIn, where this is a lot of this data is getting pulled from anyway, is linkedin.com. So just a quick thought. So like, let's just assume that we're not going to target anybody less than 10, and let's just go 21 to 50. So let's find a good company to select here. Just waiting for load. All right, Refine Labs. These guys are great. So we'll pick them because they are really well known on LinkedIn. I follow their founder, Chris Walker, and they're just super legit. So they have a lot of really great B2B companies that they work with. And so this is a marketing business. They do all different types of services specifically related to demand generation. And so let's dig around onto their site and see exactly what's going on there. So the first thing you want to really look at when you're trying to build out your ICP is look at where you've already been successful in the past. So your case studies is usually going to be your best bet. Now, we'll take a couple of these company names and just assume that they are their ideal customer. So Clary is a pretty well-known sales enablement software. So we'll write that down. So I believe that would be like clary.com. So, all right, they're 500 to 1,000 employees. Let's see if we can find them. All right, yeah, so this is it. So we'll just take like 3 companies here and use that to define our ICP. All right, so now that we have Refine Labs, we know that's going to be our company that we're taking the role of. Now we're going to be doing outreach to our ideal fit customer as if we are the company Refine Labs. So again, Now we're defining our ideal customer profile. So once we understand who our ideal customer profile is, then we can build lists of that ICP, which we'll then use to do outreach to. Okay, so now I'm in Apollo, I'm in the company search, and I'm just gonna be entering the domains of these companies. So let's just say we got Clary here. And then we can save this down because we'll use this data as case study. So we can speak to this in our copy. So we got this one, Clary. Let's do Vena. Vena Solutions. Let's check them out. All right, Vena Solutions. Go to our ICP. Take one more. Let's do Splash. Global event marketing technology. All right, cool. All right, let's just assume that it's Splash that. Looks like it's probably right. It's the first hit, and they look like a really solid company, so I think that looks about right. So now we got 3 companies. We got Clary, we got Vena, and we got Splash that. So let's add those all into our all right. So we got our ICP sort of defined here. Now let's dig into it and see what it actually looks like. So we have 3 companies here. We have a couple things that we want to look at, right? So first, you want to start looking at employee size to give a range of the companies that you'll work with. So in this case, they're working with relatively larger businesses. So you have 200 upwards of 800. So that's going to be a pretty good range. And that's where you're going to set your targeting, at least to start. So we got IT, internet, IT, computer software businesses. Okay, so that's pretty much in line with my understanding of their business. They work with a lot of tech-enabled B2B. And so then you have some keywords here that you can click into. And so I'm not sure you can see all these things, but basically we have keywords that we can use to, we have keywords here that we can use to, you know, continue to, yeah. And we have some keywords here that we can just use to further dial in our targeting. So, all right, so we're starting to get a good sense for our ICP. So we have, let's write it down here. So we have size, it's just gonna call it 200 to 900. Industry, we'll have IT, internet, and software. And let's see, they're US and Canada. All right, so this is like a pretty good start in terms of how you want to start thinking about the ICP. Some other things you'll probably want to note are their technologies and what they actually use. So the way you can get more data there is by clicking into this and then basically just seeing the sidebar over here, right? So you can take a look at their keywords, as I mentioned, and then here's some technologies. So it looks like they're running Bing ads, Facebook ads. They're using Hotjar, HubSpot. All right, so like let's just use those as some good fit technologies, because usually like if you're running Bing ads, you know, you're probably or at least potentially in the market to use another agency. So let's do Bing ads. Can do LinkedIn marketing solutions. All right, that's good. So that means that they're probably running LinkedIn ads. They're probably running Bing ads. So I know from just following this company that they have something to do with LinkedIn ads, whether they're running them for people or advising them not to. Either way, this is relevant, right? So those are a couple technologies we'll use. Let's dig into Splash just to see if we can get some more ones. Looks like they're also running Bing ads. Looks like we have some more advertising. So we'll do Google AdSense. Hotjar as well. We're using Marketo. It looked like the other one was. We got SoundCloud. And they're doing events. So it sounds like that makes sense. They're using Vidyard, Twitter ads. All right, cool. And then Yotpo, which is pretty solid tool for its email marketing. That's right. All right, so here we go. We got pretty good. We got a pretty good sense for our list here. We're starting to build out the ICP. Now, what I want to do here is just figure out whoever this specific person is that's giving the testimonial. We're going to assume that they are going to be a good fit person to actually reach out to. So this is like CMO. So let's see. Let's see what else we got. CMO. SVP of marketing. All right, so these are like definitely the decision makers. So it's important to note the titles, but you also need to consider the fact that the CMOs and the SVPs are going to be super busy. So what you need to really make sure you're doing is hitting up multiple levels, especially if you're getting into the 200 to 1,000 company size. The C level is likely not going to be the one answering their emails if you're doing sales outreach. So we got to find people like a little bit lower in the decision-making stack and then leverage those communications to basically build a champion, which you can then use to just sell the deal on a little bit higher level. All right, so with a quick search here, not exactly sure, but we can just assume she's a marketing person. So, all right, we're gonna go with SVP, Director of Marketing, and then we'll do a just regular VP of Marketing. Okay, cool. So this looks like a pretty good targeting so far. We got 200 and 900 IT, internet, computer software, USA, Canada. We got a bunch of good technologies that are specifically related to like marketing. And then we have a couple good titles here. So now what we can do is I'll just save this so we can keep this ICP list. Cool. All right, so now we got this list saved down. Now we can actually build out the targeting. So let's do that. All right, so I'm gonna just clear this one out and then we'll use this. Make sure we can see everything. All right, so I like to just start with people because then you get a better feel for exactly how many people you're actually able to have in your ICP here. So let's just start with company data and then we'll transition into like people data. I think it's still worth it to just do USA, Canada, contacts, and company location. Because you'll sometimes find that if the business is located in the US or Canada, you still will pull titles of people who are located elsewhere. So you just want to try to avoid that as much as you can. All right, we got Bill Gates on the list. Apparently he's just the principal cloud solution architect. So let's do accounts now. United States. Canada. All right, so now we got our locations. We're going to put in a custom range. We'll just do 200 to 900, like we said. Let's get into the keywords and industries. So a note on this, I think industries are very useful if you have pretty obvious buckets, but for certain industries, like if you sell home services, for whatever reason, there's a lot of businesses that don't have like a relevant industry filter in this software. So oftentimes it's useful to just do the keyword search. So if you're doing like an IT search with industry and you're getting a lot of results, you can use the keywords to filter that down further. Also, like I said, we'll be doing technologies as well. So let's just get internet. All right, so we got internet, IT. I mean, already have quite a big list. And the last one was computer software. Okay, so now we've put in our industries. We have quite a few contacts, but obviously titles are still not yet filtered down and we haven't yet done our technology filters. So there's a couple of interesting things you can do with tech. You can enter in just individual technologies, and then basically it will select any company that satisfies these criteria that has one of, for example, mobile friendly. If you have this or this or this, it'll give you a really broad list. If you're very specific and you want like 2 or 3 different technologies that are very specific to your ICP. So for example, right, like if you're using, Yotpo, you might want a review software, and you might also want somebody who's using like Shopify. So if you use all 3 of those, you're going to get a really tight list. This one is really good, but it's just going to be, again, a little bit more broad. So let's just find the technologies again, enter these in. We have technologies plugged in here. We got almost 500K prospects. Now we'll just filter by job title. Because we're 200 and 900, we're going to want to use multiple levels. So I'm even going to just not even hit up the CMO, because we want to be targeting like a little bit lower in the decision-making funnel, just because those folks get a lot of emails. So we're trying to get the people who have maybe less emails and more bandwidth to answer the emails, pretty simply. Okay, so now we have all of our titles in. We ended up including CMOs as well. Now we have a list of about 5.4 thousand contacts. So the next step, what we would do is just click into these different companies to just check them out to make sure they look good. So again, right, we have company size, we've had industry filters. We haven't necessarily used keywords yet, but you can use this as a way to filter this down even more. And we have our job titles. So now the next step from here is to select your list, and then you want to verify it with a tool called Million Verifier. That is this tool. It's relatively inexpensive. You can see the pricing for credits right here. And once you do that, you have a list that you're now able to send your campaign to. So now we have our list. Take the URL of the list. Let's keep that saved down. So now the next step, what we want to do is build a front end offer. So how do we do that, right? So there's a difference between like services and offers. Services are typically what you do for the client, and then offers are what the client actually gets. Now, a good offer is one that has a measurable outcome, specific outcome, and is bound by a time frame, and ideally includes a risk reversal, which could be like a full guarantee, performance based guarantee, which is an implied guarantee, and then you can give money back plus $20 or something like that, whatever it is relevant to your customer and how they value their time, right? So let's think about what they actually do. So I clicked into Redefine Labs. They do a couple of things. They do marketing broadly, and they do content. So let's see what is going on here. So demand creation. So they're building content, they're measuring the success of the campaigns, and they are developing pipeline. So basically in this case, you could split test a couple different offers. Let's do content offer and then like more of like a marketing, like lead gen focused offer. So another thing that I want to note here is like, besides being measurable and specific, what else like makes a good offer? So you need to consider like the risk on the prospects part. So like a lot of times people just think of like money and financial risk, but there's also other types of risk, like your time looking silly if it doesn't work out, which, that's kind of an ego hit. And, these types of risks are also going to be considered by the prospect. So, even if you just say, hey, we'll give you your money back, like it's not necessarily going to completely satisfy the risk. So the best offers have, let's call it maximize the gain and minimize the risk. Another risk I want to include here is we have financial risk, we have our ego risk. If you actually screw it up, like it could cause issues to the business, right? So not only is it spending the money out of pocket, but like you could break something internally if your service is meaningful enough, right? So there's multiple things that you need to include here. And so, right, the best offers maximize this gain and then minimize the risk. So the way that you want to start to think about like how to actually craft an offer is like, what does the prospect actually want? What pains? And then you have to ask yourself, does what you're selling solve their problem? So like not only does it solve their problem, but like does it solve a problem that is also painful, right? So you want to think about those things. So in terms of content, general marketing and lead gen, like people want more content, they want more creative, because creative is hard to build consistently, right? Anybody can run an ads manager for the most part if you have like systems and SOPs and you have some good knowledge. Creative is a little more difficult, and not only is it hard to just build once, it's hard to refresh. So I think there's something around that. So want more creative, ongoing. And then for like marketing, in looking at some of these success stories, we can see like what they specifically generated by. So like this increasing win rate by 64%, increasing their pipeline velocity. So like these are pretty substantial wins. And this is a long time horizon. So that's a really good case study. So 588% increase in their qualified pipeline over a 3-year time frame. I'd say that's pretty good. So, right, like let's just say here they want more leads, want more pipeline, want higher quality leads, and want to acquire customers at a lower cost, right? So now let's think about how to actually build an offer around these. So you have to think about like what are all of the steps in your service delivery process, like literally 1, 2, 3. So first, you know, what do they do? First step. They don't say it exactly, but we can assume there's some kind of auditing process. They make recommendations, then they like implement those recommendations, which includes, you know, mocking up strategy, then actually building the strategy, which includes like, you know, creative management and ongoing refresh, right? So that's just an example. I mean, there's process is probably a lot more complex, but for the purposes of just figuring out what kind of offer we would want to make, like we could think about this, right? So an offer should be going to market to get the prospect to want to like reply. So think about the steps in your service delivery and then create an offer around like one of these specific steps, right? So for example, right, if creative is in demand as we are making the assumption here, you know, what you can do is think like, all right, in terms of my service delivery on creative is actually going and doing researching like top performing ads in your niche and then actually like making the ads from scratch. And then before that, you might like repurpose some of the top performing ads, right? And then, you know, there's the like the review process, editing process, etc., right? So like you have the broad steps and then you have, you know, one step further, you have like the individual steps. And so you can create offers around this full on a broader step or an individual step. So in this case, let's say, you know, we can repurpose, you know, 5 of your highest performing ads in just call it in 1 week. You can test it against your control group and see if we can beat yours. If we don't beat your control, then we will give you a full refund in writing, right? So this is an example of an offer we can make based on this specific step in their process, right? So, you know, the basic framework here is, you know, we can help you get X result in Y time frame without X icky thing plus risk reversal. And then ideally you're also including social proof as well. So let's think. We can repurpose 5 of your posts. So we can repurpose 5 of your highest performing ads in 1 week to beat your control by at least 10% cost per acquisition, right? You can test our version, our creative against your control group to see if we can beat yours. If we don't beat your control during the test, then we'll give you a full refund in writing, right? So, and then you could say something like, we've been working with, you know, call it enterprise B2B. You would want to call these companies out, the case study types out. IT, internet, computer software, that's a little bit broad. So you could say like marketing software businesses. We've been working with enterprise B2B marketing services to help them lower their cost per acquisition. We've been working with enterprise B2B marketing services. Creative ad, paid media. Yeah, so like this would be the mechanism. So with our creative paid media, or just say with creative paid media, with enterprise marketing services like Clary, you can repurpose 5 of your highest performing ads in 1 week to be controlled by at least 10%. You can test our creative against your control group to see if we can beat yours. If we don't beat your control during the test, we will give you a full refund in writing, right? So this is the general framework. And then this is actually like offer. And then for your call to action, you would want to say something like, hey, would you like to see a 3-minute Loom video with more information, right? So your call to action should just be like one specific thing, telling them to do one specific action. Any interest is okay, but if you can be more specific and tell them exactly what they should be doing next, then that is going to be a good stop for you. So test different offers. First, this is going to be your highest leverage. And the reason why this is the highest leverage is it's basically, call it like the headline, you know, the Ogilvy quote, 80% of your advertising dollar is spent on your headline. Like your headline is your offer. So this is like, what exactly is the prospect going to get? So in this case, right, so we can repurpose 5 of your highest performing ads in 1 week to beat your control by at least 10%, right? So in this case, we're giving them a specific outcome in a specific time frame. We have a case study talking about who we've done it for, and then we have a risk reversal in terms of a full refund, and then we have a very specific call to action. So this is how you kind of build cold email copy. Like it comes out and you know, you just got to use this framework. So, all right, so this is email 1. Let's just do one more version of this and then let's make it super simple. So this is going to be email 2. And the framework that we'll use for this is just, hey, name, if I could get you result in time without bad thing, would you be interested in speaking? Yeah, so this one was taught to me by Nick Abraham. And this is a tried and true, and it honestly rips. If you don't know Nick, he's a great guy, really running the game in cold email. So take a look at him if you haven't heard of him. But let's get back into it. So we're going to just use the same broadly offer here to build this one out. So we'll say, hey, name, if I could get you 10% in if I could help you decrease your cost per acquisition by 10% in just call it 1 week, by so we have here, and then you say like we did for Clary. So yeah. So you want to make sure to add some social proof here and say, and then you can even add like a PS line, say, we'll set up the test, and if we don't beat your control, then we'll give you a full refund in writing. Right? So why this works versus like this type of offer works versus like, hey, we'll run your ads for you, we'll build your creatives for you, like ongoing, is when you're selling cold, people don't know you, they don't trust you. So you got to give them an offer that is interesting, that is, call it a no-brainer. I know, offer a guarantee on a recurring service, like there's so many different variables at play that it's really hard to guarantee something 6, 12 months out in the future because so many things can change. So if you can have a very specific time frame, and ideally a shorter time frame, and you can get a result in that short time frame, it's a lot easier to make a guarantee around something like that. So just a note there. But these would be 2 examples of email copy that we would write, some offers that you can do. So like another example that you would potentially want to test, right? We have, like a repurposing. You can just say, hey, we'll build you a 15 or 20 free creatives. If you want to call it free, and you have just like a simple direct response call to action. In this one, like there's a million ways you can go about this, but this is just a few. So now if you want to actually do this inside of SmartLead, all right, so assume you have your list, you'll want to import it here. Then you'll want to get your emails copied and pasted into SmartLead. So you want to make sure you're using some Spintax here. Spintax is very important. Good way to do this is just, include a couple different variations. This basically allows us to bypass spam filters, make sure that your merge fields look good. Bang. You would probably want to do a couple Spintax around this, etc. You can do a bunch of that. And then, you could Spintax your calls to action. So like, right? So like it's the same call to action basically, just written differently. So it's going to add an additional level of uniqueness to the outbound emails. So in terms of like the subject lines, you can keep it really simple with like question name. We'll add our second variant. Yeah, best, etc. You'd do all the spin tax. Because this is a demo, keep it quick. But like I said, right, this is just a couple different versions. Keep them short, concise, make it very obvious what you're reaching out about. Do not be like disingenuous. Like, don't say you're reaching out about something but try to actually sell them something on the back end. Like, you got to just be straight up with people. They generally respect it. So in terms of subject line, don't like to overthink it. You can say something like that. And then, you'd want to add a step, add an email here, probably wait 2 to 3 days. And then you say, what do we actually say they do here? So in this case, we'll kind of bolster the case study a bit more. So in a follow-up email, like, you want to add some more social proof and basically just make the offer even better. So in this case, they actually lowered their customer acquisition cost by 67%. So but that was probably over a longer time frame. So either way, that's pretty good. So we can say we help them increase their win rate by 64%. And then you can just say like whatever it was without, right? You can say, reason I reached out the other day was because we're helping B2B marketing companies like Clary increase win rates, shorten sales cycles, improve forecast accuracy. We recently helped them increase their win rates by 64% without, what bad thing are we preventing them from doing? You can say by sounds like they refocused their messaging, so we can say like by repositioning their messaging and dialing in their sales process. Would you, and then this one we can just say like, would you like to see a case study showing exactly the exact step-by-step process we used to get Would you like to see a case study showing the exact step-by-step process? All right, you can say something like that. Now you want to go move on to the setup. It's making me add all right, so choose your sending accounts, schedule your campaign, whatever your time zone, and just do 9 to 5. You probably don't want to be sending more than 20 emails a day, so this is fine. Set your date, number of leads per day, max it out based on your capacity. Go into the review if you can, and then just make sure you're all good. So in terms of this, you want to have this set, uncheck those, change your prioritization. Ideally, auto-analyze the mailbox, and then, you know, if you're going to categorize them, do the thing. So you can do interested, not interested, DNC, info request. Those are pretty good ones. You know, then, you know, save your general settings, you know, add your email accounts, set up your webhook, launch a campaign. Bada bing, bada boom. All right, cool. So that's pretty much the campaign in a nutshell. We defined our profile of our ideal customer. We built out a couple front-end offers. We wrote the copy around those offers. We set it up in campaign. Now we're launching the campaign out. So hope you enjoyed this video. If you'd like to learn how to actually write more cold email copy that will book you 30 plus meetings a month, I've attached that video right up here. And whenever you get a minute, take a watch and chat with you soon.